All right, we're live on the air. Hey, how goes it? I am
Okay,
Ken Bozak, and we're here to talk about Bitcoin and Bitcoin accessories like decentralized exchanges. And today I'm here with my bro Vlad. How goes it, Vlad?
hello. Hello, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming on to talk, man. I see that you have, what is that in the background, the banner?
In the background and the banner, you can see our logo. Yes. And here are some clips. I also provided several clips to the chat. Here's
X
the
keeps
legendary
you
clip with
money safe.
McAfee. Yes, this is the legendary clip with McAfee and some other clips. Here you got DEX coin, like gold and Bitcoin. So you need to have Plan D, Plan Decentralized, Plan
Plan
DEX.
D.
Yes,
Yeah, well, Plan B is Bitcoin and Plan D is decentralized exchanges. You know,
yes,
what Bitcoin has done to decentralize currency has now created a need to decentralize a currency exchange.
yes, absolutely. But we can see that lots of decentralized assets are being traded on centralized exchanges, which is nonsense for sure.
It's
And what
asinine for sure, yeah.
Yes, and what was stated in the original white paper of Satoshi Nakamoto was that we are going to create with Bitcoin and blockchain the new decentralized world without any middleman, as banks, as financial institutions, etc. But now we see that lots of crypto is controlled by big mining pools, like mining pools in China, big mining pool in Ethereum and Bitcoin, and lots of exchanges which claim themselves to be decentralized are in fact not such. For example, today, CryptoBridge, which was one of the decentralized exchanges on BitShares blockchain, like DEX, was closed. They
Yep.
told that we cannot persist the regulation because they are located in Denmark. But still, this is nonsense because decentralized crypto exchange cannot have any location at all. When people ask where is our location, we answer in the blockchain.
Yeah, that's where all the Bitcoin is. It's in the blockchain. It shouldn't be on the exchange.
Yes, absolutely. And on our exchange, wallets are decentralized, assets are decentralized, and people trade cryptocurrencies P2P
And is that
without
using
any
smart
middleman.
contracts?
Yes, it's on the smart contracts on Graphene blockchain.
Now, how's that secured? Is there a form of escrow?
Yes, some kind of that. And also, all the accounts are decentralized, and administration cannot have any access to the wallets of our traders, to their logins. We cannot show some fake volumes like all the crypto forexes. How do they call we call them centralized exchanges show? Because 99% of centralized exchanges volumes are fake.
Yeah, exactly. But how do we prove that?
How do we
Oh, where'd he go?
think uh, analog of coin market is called open
Oh, I might
have
be having
proven
internet
uh,
issues. I'm
have
sorry.
proven that lots they compared
That's really odd. I'm seem to be
statistics.
having internet issues. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry about
Okay,
this. Uh, yeah, okay, there we go. It seems to be back. Okay. Sorry about that, Vlad.
okay. So there is a project like Coin Market Cap, but called Open Market Cap. They tried to make the market for crypto more transparent and more trustworthy. Unfortunately, they are not functioning now because maybe due to lack of financing. But we see that all the ratings, they are also quite shady, and they show not the transparent situation in the crypto world.
So why does it matter though? Like even if they're faking their volume, what does it matter? Who does it hurt and why should anybody care?
Uh, well, It fake volumes hurt first of all investors and crypto enthusiasts and many people who out of the market because they are confused that there is huge hype, there is some sense in crypto, but in fact it is not true. Only that central decentralized exchanges volume shows the real picture of what the real interest of the society to cryptocurrency is. And as you know, cryptocurrency mm, uh, been existed for more than 10 years. It haven't yet become real money because it has some functions, for example, store of value, but it
Yeah.
doesn't have very crucial functions as medium of exchange, and it doesn't have a function as means of payment. No one, in fact, pays crypto. They hodl it, yes, and there are no very convenient applications and use cases to use crypto for payments because Bitcoin is too slow,
Yep.
transactions are very expensive, etc. So crypto is not money; it's some kind of another kind of instance. And
Yeah, right
on
now it's a speculative asset people use to make money, and I
yes,
think for a few more years its main use case will be to be traded on exchanges.
yes, absolutely. But you see lots of scams of the exchanges. This is one of the reasons of those scams, for example, Fabbit, I guess, and others, is that they show fake volumes that they don't have coverage for volume they show, and they have lack of risk management system. If you've got fairly proven volumes of trading on the blockchain, like we do, and you can see all the volumes on the deals on the blockchain publicly, then there is no problem to care about risk management. And then those guys like traditional forex company, but we call it now them crypto forex. They show you lots of fake volume. They cannot persist a good risk management system, and
Well,
then
even
collapse.
if the volume's fake, at least the liquidity's real. What people worry about when it comes to a decentralized exchange rather than a centralized exchange is the liquidity. Can they actually fill orders that you're placing, and will you be able to put in your trades? Will your buy orders be bought? Will your sell orders get sold? Will they actually be buyers and sellers there? And I guess it's kind of go to like, how do we get more liquidity on decentralized exchanges when the centralized entities have a majority of the volume right now? Like, I would say exchanges are very centralized in the majority and can be considered like the biggest market manipulators that we have right now.
Yeah, this is absolutely true. There is no such thing as a market maker in the decentralized exchange. There are no
Right.
liquidity providers because it's very expensive for them to launch their high frequency trading algorithms on the blockchain because any transaction is payable. So you pay for making an offer, a bid for cancel in order. So high frequency trading is really useless on centralized exchanges. Yes, and there is a problem of liquidity, but we are trying to attract more people who are interested to exchange their crypto P2P. So this is some kind of OTC market, but without liquidity provider. Hope
Okay.
next year when we move to our own blockchain and we will make those transactions free, we can gain some liquidity providers and some small private exchanges who work on the local bitcoins and other OTC platforms, and they will bring liquidity to us. At the moment, we are a little bit uh, we are working on the public blockchain of BitShares, so it is
Okay.
quite expensive to make high frequency trading and liquidity operations. But our own blockchain is ready. It will be extremely cheap, and for I think for half or a year, we will offer zero commissions, zero trading fees, and I hope next year, starting from February, we are going to solve this problem. Because recently, two our competitors, two exchanges who work on the BitShares blockchain, they closed. This was CryptoBridge and OpenLedger. They
Yep.
told we have no liquidity, we have no profits, and
Exactly.
also we have problems with regulators because of the new European Union directive, which
Well,
will.
that's what's why are decentralized exchanges worried about
I don't
regulators?
know. I don't know. That is why they are not such decentralized exchanges as they claim.
Thank you.
Because this is absolutely nonsense that decentralized exchange has some legal entity and has some KIC, AML, etc. Because this is the same as Satoshi Nakamoto will tell you that if you, I will ask for your passport for any Bitcoin transaction. So they
Right.
are not really DEXs, you know. True DEXs which work on smart contracts such as a third rate, etc. And McAfee has opened. By the way, here's again with Mr. McAfee
Yes, the
and
John
with
McAfee
Deeks Dragon. You
animation.
can
I
check it
love
out.
it.
Yes, those exchanges are limited by their transactions which can be held only on the Ethereum blockchain. So there are lots of coins there, only Ethereum, DAI, MakerDAO, etc. Several good coins, several good tokens, and thousands of shitcoins, useless
Yeah.
shitcoins,
I have a
unfortunately.
feeling decentralized exchanges will never worry about the fiat off and on ramps that most exchanges worry about, and that's where I think regulations really come into play. I feel like these decentralized exchanges, a real DEX, would just utilize the stable coin communities that already exist, and things like the Gemini dollar and USDC. Oh, shout out to J Chains in the chat. How goes it, bro? Even
Mhm.
he says that's because they ain't a true DEX. Exactly.
I think that a huge bubble is going to burst related to stable coins because they have no coverage. They are not audited, something like Tether USDT, and
Yeah,
there are the
Tether announced that they're not backed by 100% cash. They're backed by debt on loans of Bitcoin that they have loaned out.
yes, absolutely. So I hope that this bubble will burst sometime, and then good true project will be developing because there is a basic problem which is basic for the whole economic theory which arises due to asymmetric information. This problem is called adverse selection. In the state of asymmetric information, when different parties of a deal have different knowledge and information about the deal itself, then they adversely select the worst choice. That is why bad projects they do rule in crypto and good projects do not.
Yep, exactly.
When the project when the bubble will be burst, then the blood will be running. Then it will be the good time for crypto renaissance, I guess.
Do you think that's a technological pin or a financial pin that will pop that bubble?
Sure, financial, because technology is great, it is transparent, it is beautiful, and the problem also is with people's character. They are not ready to be transparent, they are not ready to be trustworthy, and what is most important, they are not ready to make decisions on their own side without any middleman. They are always asking for some third party to care about them. I think lots of years shall pass until people will understand that due to mathematical decentralized algorithms, they can solve the problem of trust because blockchain is trustless trust, I would rather say.
Well, it depends on how it's designed. It could be trusted to an extent, but still fail. Even Seth
Mhm.
brings up, other stable coins have issues, and MakerDAO's, even had some issues with their DAI.
Yes, yes, they are not yet perfect, but hope they develop will be developed soon. Also, on our blockchain, we will show stable coins which are backed by smart contracts by mathematical algorithms, and they are asset backed by our core token. So if that core token is falling, then the stable coin settlement will happen, so-called black swan, and margin call will appear, and you will
Hmm.
need either to destroy your open position or to
Yep.
bring more assets to back your position.
Yeah, well,
So
right
it
now I
will
think
be more
stable
stable
coins
coin.
focus on fiat, right? They're focused on backed by the
Absolutely.
dollar. What if when we start to see stable coins backed by a certain value of Bitcoin, say 0.001 BTC stable coins?
Yes, or buy the basket of coins, but our approach will be a little bit different. Our stable coins will be asset backed by 200% of mortgage of DX coins, and when DX coin price depreciates versus US dollar, then smart contract will easy close the position, terminate it, or you will have to back more coins such that your position will be open.
So will
This is
the decentralized exchange have its own treasury that the smart contract is like responsible for?
yes, absolutely, but it is decentralized smart contract, which is supported by witnesses, by block producers,
So see, this is
etc.
where I start to get confused about decentralization of projects and autonomization of projects, right? Where there's still a community that still gets to vote in which way the decentralized smart contract is triggered, as opposed to the blockchain using its own algorithms and making a decision for itself based on protocols that have been put in place,
Mm.
making it a true decentralized exchange.
Yes, you're absolutely true because any smart contract is governed by voting system,
Yep.
by people who participate in decision making process. So there can appear some kind of Game of Thrones, and they can communicate each other and to make decisions which are most profitable for them. So some kind of oligopolistic competition can happen in such a system.
Yep. It could be
Moreover,
compromised. People could be
yes,
lobbied to do something or could be threatened to do something in a certain direction.
yes, absolutely. It's not a perfect work. It's not a perfect world. So unfortunately, there is no perfect consensus
Well, you would
yet.
think Bitcoin has pretty much laid out the blueprint for a pretty perfect consensus as far as decentralizing anything can go. I know miners and nodes still play their roles, but it's as I would think a blueprint for exchanges to build on. Why aren't we seeing decentralized exchanges try to build on top of Bitcoin's blockchain and build their own, like what you're doing with DEX by building your own blockchain? Why not just build on top of Bitcoin's blockchain to create this decentralized
Yeah,
exchange?
it's not a good idea, unfortunately, because Bitcoin transactions are too slow. This is not acceptable
But
for
that's
highly
not
loaded
preparing
financial
for the
systems.
future of Bitcoin, right? That's like just for today, right? So when Bitcoin is at that point, wouldn't it make more sense to be ready for that?
Perhaps it's a good idea. We will study it perhaps with development of Lightning Network protocols. It will be easier
Yep.
to deal with transactional systems, but
And atomic
still,
swaps. Once we have atomic swaps with Lightning Network
yes.
protocols, I think these decentralized exchanges will be
Mhm.
focusing more on Bitcoin's blockchain than, utilizing their own because
Mhm.
Bitcoin's blockchain is the most decentralized blockchain with its legacy and hash
Unfortunately, in
power.
fact, I would argue this is not always true because it is controlled by the limited number of very big mining companies,
Good point.
mining pools, and the mining equipment suppliers. So Bitcoin is not such democratic entity like it was proposed initially by Satoshi Nakamoto because it is becoming more bureaucratic
It
entity,
is. I
I would
posted a
rather
tweet today
say.
that said, "Is
Yes.
Bitcoin compromised?" And I seem to agree with you at this point, where with the mining power and even the core development centralization, it is in a way not what it used to be.
Yes, this is absolutely true. If there will appear some kind of truly democratic blockchain with diminishing marginal value from mining, which means the more power you control, the less profit you get. then perhaps we will see more decentralized system.
Well, Bitcoin in 2140 could potentially see that when we start to mine the last Bitcoin and change to a more proof of stake concept when it comes to miners versus nodes versus lightning channels and
Mm.
etc.
Our protocol is related to delegated proof of stake protocol because POS protocol have lots of disadvantages. Unfortunately, delegated proof of stake protocol has also lots of disadvantages. So we can see in BitShares community some kind of thing that people say they call it BitShares drama, because the initial society lost its control over the blockchain, and everything is now controlled by Chinese. They control all the crypto, they control this thing, and those guys are not able to think strategically. They're thinking just tactically. They're trying to gain short-run profit, but forget about a long-run profit and long-run losses, which can appear when they lose control over the blockchain, and when control is being transferred to some group which is interested only in getting short-run profits in the moment, but in the long run. In this respect, delegated proof of stake protocol is very like the government system in Russia, where we come from, because in Russia, people and society can produce lots of good things. People are very talented, etc. But the government is only interested in getting rent from natural resources. They got gas, they got oil, they got profits from this, and they don't care about the future. They don't care about high tech, fintech, etc. They have it right now. The same happens with delegated proof of statement because people are not interested in strategic development of the ecosystem, but rather they are interested in concentrating uh, their stakes in one hand, producing blocks, getting profits from producing blocks by their witnesses. That is all they are interested in. They're selling their coins immediately, so the price depreciates a lot. There is not enough financing of the ecosystem of projects of workers, etc. So
Yeah.
there might be some kind of compromise between greedy greedy of people, which is the nature of the majority of people, and the bright future they wish to develop one day.
Well, that's where game theory starts to come into play when these technologies are being developed and designed. We're still in the beta tests where we want this malicious action to
Mm-hmm.
happen now rather than later so protocols can be designed. It's almost like, people do things that are dumb so laws get written. Most laws aren't written before the act. The whole no shoes, no shirt, no service, that wasn't a policy until so many people started doing
Mm-hmm.
it. They had to create the policy to stop it. When we're going to see a lot of bad actors come into this space, we're going to see how proof of work, proof of stake can be used in a malicious way, and then it'll inspire protocols to be written that could prevent that action from being taken place. And I like what Dash is doing. I like what Bitcoin does, obviously. And I think Decred has a combination of the proof of work, proof of stake hybrid blockchain that really starts to solve a lot of the governance issues that we see in separate bodied blockchain projects. But I wanted to dive into the DEX exchange and just curious, how does your cryptocurrency play a role in the decentralized exchange environment?
We've got a settlement token called DEX. This is like BNB, like Binance token. It is used to pay commissions. So when people pay trading fees by DEX, they've got better rates, better fees. It is used for nodes. Many people have settled lots of DEX coins into cloud nodes, so they support the ecosystem. It is used for commission for all listing fees. It is used for as commission for the marketplace. We have also developed a marketplace where people can buy and sell their goods and services via crypto, and the commission is paid in DEX. DEX also is used as a fuel, as a gas in transactions in cryptomats. We've got Bitcoin ATMs, quite quite cheap ones, quite affordable, which are being installed in some countries, not in Russia because it's not legal, but in some other countries it is done. So people also can buy cryptomats for DX currency. And also recently we have launched very interesting application. I will provide a link to the chat. It is called CryptoPlat. Uh, there is a very popular application in Russia named FX Coin, which is used for P2P exchange of crypto in one convenient graphical user interface. So it is also run on the top of DX, and DX are also used there to pay for commissions for transfers, etc. So DEX is a utility token which is widely used in the ecosystem. Also, we've got gambling services, and next year, making companies will use DX to make bets. But it's a long story. We've got negotiations now. We've got one project on the Tron blockchain where DX will be used next year as a settlement coin as well.
That's interesting. Utilizing another blockchain as a proof of concept as a way to utilize your own outside of the network. That's actually a good idea.
Yes. Yeah. By the way, the last but not the least, we've got crypto messenger, DX messenger, where DX coin is also used to pay for tariffs. This is what Telegram was going to launch, but we have already got a blockchain messenger with its own ecosystem. It is extremely safe messenger. You can find it in App Store. Unfortunately, it's not such a huge yet. It's very hard to attract good audience, but still it is being developed, and
So the
I think it will
application
be
is
successful.
available for Android and Apple already?
Yep, I
All
will
right.
provide you
So
a link to this chat
yeah,
also.
I'll check it
It's,
out. So it's an encrypted messenger that uses the DEX
yes,
blockchain?
yes, absolutely.
So how does it cost to send a message in crypto, or how does it work to actually utilize the messaging functionality?
First month is free of charge, and then tariff plan starts from $3 monthly.
Okay, so it's not like you have to stake the coins, you actually spend the currency for the service?
Yep,
Interesting. All
it's
right, I'll
used
check it out because
as it
that's
is
pretty
there.
interesting.
And the more interesting, it's extremely safe, much more than Telegram, I guess.
Well, I mean, look what happened with what is it? WeChat or whatever? Is that the one that Facebook ended up getting and decrypting their encryption methods and stuff? It's hard to find a trustworthy chat messenger for this because they're all centralized in some way, and legally speaking, I'm sure they have to have a way to decrypt messages in case of a subpoena of some sort. That's why everyone's like you should use this or that. I'm like it's probably Signal or I use another blockchain messaging app, Sense Chat. Have you ever heard of that?
No,
They're on
I,
the EOS blockchain and it's pretty similar.
mm. I have lots of projects which were running ICO during the hype, and were claiming to run a safe, decentralized blockchain messenger, but they are all scammed.
Yeah, no, every
You
one of
know,
them.
yes, there was a CryptoTel on Waves blockchain. It disappeared. Then there was a very interesting project named Obsidian Messenger. One of the founders of which was the guy who developed a very secure messenger. Talks.
But isn't it in a way like paying for two services at once at the moment using I was talking to Alina Vernova of Casa Hodl. She was the former CEO of Treasure Wallet. And we were talking on Twitter about using the blockchain for message solution services. And it seems like a redundant service fee, right? Like I'm paying for my mobile service, the internet, which already allows me to text message with other feature, and then I'm paying another service to utilize the blockchain. So there's like
That's
two
it.
internet bills instead of one.
But when it comes to safety, I think safety is priceless.
That is true. I
Safety
think
and
it would.
confidentiality
I think
of your
it's interesting
messages.
concept too because I don't feel safe sending a, for instance, for any reason, I could send you an email of a private key so you can have the Bitcoin on that private key. Here's the private key,
Mhm.
here's the key, it's yours. I shouldn't do that because Google or Facebook or any messenger can see the private key I just messaged you.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
I could use the blockchain to send you that key and not have to worry about it being seen.
Absolutely. This is also one of the use cases, one of the applications of the X blockchain. We've got some experiments with selling software keys over the blockchain. They can be
Exactly. Thank
sent
you.
as
And I was
memo.
thinking this with gift card
Yes.
keys too, as well.
Yes, absolutely. And we are also trying next year. We're going to deal with loyal programs to tokenize their loyalty points, such that you can exchange thank you from Sberbank for tokens of avia companies like Siberia, Aeroflot, etc. And you can tokenize them and exchange them between many people. So this is also one of the use cases of our blockchain. Our blockchain actually is ideal for fast, secure, reliable transactions, highly loaded, much more highly loaded, like Visa and Mastercard together. And we are also communicating with some big Russian banks, which are preparing for the law about crypto assets in Russia. We hope it will be released next year. So there is a big space for also crowdfunding, digital crowdfunding campaigns. We've got also this functionality in our exchange. But
Yeah,
unfortunately,
a lot of people are under the the mis, I would say the misnomer, or I don't know exactly the word I'm looking for here, but like they're misinformed on the fact that ICOs and crowdfunding are dead when they are not. The whole concept of an ICO will have a new boom. Sort of like the dot-com bubble. The dot-com bubble when it had its up down and came back. The ICO market will have a comeback in a more legitimate manner, I believe, and people just won't be ready for
absolutely,
it.
absolutely, agree with you. And the digital crowdfunding law is become legit in Russia from the 1st of January. So we hope to see many use cases of crowdfunding and crowd lending, which will be used by small companies which don't have access to uh, bank financing or to IPOs or to bonds. Uh, so I guess there will be a new wave, and this new wave of crowdfunding will be in legal terms and control governed by the laws of the countries. I think there is much space for crowdfunding of such type because the idea of unregulated ICOs unfortunately killed the market and brought lots of negative things to crypto. Many think that crypto and blockchain means pyramids, Ponzi schemes, uh,
That's still a
multi-level
very small
marketing,
percentage,
etc.
though. The amount of people that have been affected or even are aware of the effects that the previous ICO boom had is minuscule compared to mass adoption. If we were to see
Mm.
10% more world population involved in the Bitcoin or cryptocurrency ecosystem, there would be 9%, or 99% more active users than have previously been affected. So the reputation and that vibe that you're talking about, it's pretty much very small, and I don't think it has the large scale effect that the industry expects it to have. Even institutional investors never got involved in ICOs. Wait for that moment for industries to be able to invest in tokenized project concepts.
Absolutely, I do agree with you. And moreover, there is too much money, too much fiat all over the world because of very soft monetary policy
And
of
nowhere else to
Federal
put it. They have
Reserve.
nowhere else to put it. No, you can't put
Yes,
your cash in
absolutely.
the bank. It's not going to make everybody. No one
Yes,
makes sense. It doesn't make any sense. Nobody is incentivized anymore to have a large holding in their savings account.
yes, absolutely. Moreover, interest rates are becoming negative, so you need to pay money to save your money
Yeah,
safely in a bank or in a treasury. It's nonsense that it will be better that those discarded paper will be used to build new projects, to build new businesses, which will benefit all the world population.
I think the number one use case in 10 years from now for paper money will be art. It'll be used in art that represents what it used
Mhm,
to mean to use paper money or some bullshit like Banksy will use it or something. But like when you see Venezuela, people buy the dollar there because
mhm.
they can use it to create art out of it because it's so inexpensive, but it's so meaningful as a message. And I think we'll see a lot of dollars used in means of art because it'll have no other use case. Like gold is created to make
Yes,
jewelry.
and dollar will be and paper money, fiat money will be used as collectible items,
Yeah, exactly.
just for
Memorabilia.
money.
That's pretty much a lot of what the old money's used for today. A lot of people just collect it and stare at it because you can't spend it on anything, and that's eventually what will happen to the fiat when we know and love today, or well, know in general, not so much love. So let's talk about, I guess, centralized versus decentralized blockchains a little bit here more so, like a centralized decentralized exchange. What do you mean by that?
Centralized exchange is controlled by its administration. It it's simply a centralized database with access of its administration of its employees to all the private keys of
Now
all the
doesn't
private
now
keys.
doesn't DEX though at some level have administration?
Sure, you cannot claim that something is truly decentralized because internet and interfaces are centralized themselves.
Well, I'm
So
talking
they can
about your exchange. Don't you have a founder?
we don't have a founder. We got a community, a group of people who are decision making, who are witnesses for the system.
So there's no CEO or founder?
There is official spokesperson who is responsible for press releases, for communicating with other projects, etc. But there is no single person, single fault point like in centralized exchanges
Well,
who
aren't you
control.
corporatized in an LLC form that, somebody would have to have filled out the paperwork for the company to not be like for copywriting and trademarking and like the logo and stuff?
Yeah, sure, sure. There are employees who do that.
Okay.
But still, centralized exchanges they control all users' accounts. They can block them and pretend that there is problem with AML/KYC. They can steal their money making deals against the market. There are lots of cases which happened. They can show you any figures on your account. You cannot show
Well, what about
any figures.
decentralized exchanges that are centralized? Is more so kind of what I was getting at. Like a lot like Binance has a decentralized exchange, but it's not a true DEX, but it is a DEX.
It is Binance decentralized exchange is the same as Bitcoin Cash compared with Bitcoin because Bitcoin Cash nodes are controlled by 99% are controlled by one single person and by one server. No, nodes are installed in one server case. The same is Binance. All their witnesses are controlled by their people. There is no decentralization. So blockchain can be decentralized system can be blockchain, but not all the blockchains are decentralized system. There is some kind of paradox. In our case, master nodes which do support decision making on the blockchain they are controlled in the same single proportion by votes of the community. So there is no big stakeholder who controls more than 10% of all the stakes.
Well, as the your coin gains value, right? If it ever did, what measures are in place to prevent the centralization of the masternode ecosystem? Like, Dash had a big problem, still kind of does, with the cost to get in to be a masternode to participate in the ecosystem. Are you looking at I would say, like, what is it, like fractional master nodes where people could have a piece of a master node and
Yes,
work together?
we have already this solution. We have so-called of cloud master nodes. So people collect together and invest some fraction
Okay.
to the master node, and several people control one witness, one master node. We've got such kind of solution.
Because that way the community could always pull together and sort of self-govern from the majority of the master nodes previous. If there was ever any kind of miscommunication between, I would say, the community and the master nodes. Because master node voters are sort of self-inclined to do things in a profitable, not always a communal effort. So it's not always, masternode voters don't always vote for what's best for the community all the time, as much as they vote for what's best for their profits, more so.
Yes, this is true. This is a human being uh, psychology, you know.
I think, well, what we see with masternodes too is
Yeah.
people also delegate their voting to bots, and I think that also helps sort of take that human, at least the centralized human condition out of it. When we start to see more, people take their voting position and rent it or lease it out, and then communities can sort of buy that vote in that sense. And we could use, like, crowdsource voting, if that's
Mhm.
the case, when we see people sort of lease out those masternode positions.
That's true. It can be happened and not controlled or governed anyhow.
Right. So where do you see, like, sort of the I would say, like, the biggest roadblocks when it comes to either technology, regulations, finance? What is the biggest barrier in the next 2020 for decentralized exchanges?
Actually, I don't see any barriers for DEXs. Next year, I think will be the year of true DEXs. More centralized exchange will be scammed very, even very big names, I guess. I will not tell
Coinbase.
those names. Not sure, not sure.
I don't
Usually,
trust Coinbase at
yeah.
all, bro. I don't
Oh,
trust
yeah.
those motherfuckers. No, ever since the Bitcoin Cash insider trading, and they did their inside investigation and
Mm.
came up with nothing, like, fuck Coinbase. I would love to see a centralized exchange like Coinbase audit it to see if they truly have as much Bitcoin as they're projecting on their end user screen. Like you said, a centralized exchange can
Yes,
show you anything on the screen, but what do they really have
absolutely,
in holding?
absolutely. But they are governed by very strict laws, so they are too big to fail, you know.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. We've seen banks that looked like they were too big to
That's
fail,
true.
and
Yes,
they failed miserably.
that's not a good point. Yes.
I just think that, the amount of money being moved in these exchanges this early on, and even the centralized ones that look legit, we've seen, even with, Canada had Quadriga just straight up. The
Mhm.
CEO died and all the money was stolen, and okay, Upbit and all these other exchanges eventually, I believe, will see a very similar, if not a scapegoat exit. Oh, we were hacked. They will just hard exit.
The same thing recently happened last week with IDEX, where people lose their SEO with all their cold wallets and he just disappeared. So
Yep.
you can,
Missing,
you,
missing.
yeah, absolutely. The same with hacking attack, IML, QAC. Perhaps this is one of the points of their whole business plan.
And that's what I get a little bit weary about an actual DEX is everybody isn't inclined enough to do their own research on the DEX protocols, and at any point in time it feels like there could be a collusion in the background that could vote in a protocol that helps sweep the keys for the next hour. Certain exchanges recently were doing like $80 million a day in transactions and ended up stealing 70 million of it. So it starts to worry me that we're going to see a lot of these decentralized exchanges pop up, and they're all going to be very legit until the moment they're not.
Perhaps. I think the point will be for regulators and for DEXs. DEX is an environment for uh, safe and secure transactions. Yes, you cannot show any fake figures on its account, but there is a problem of gateways. Gateway is the point of failure. Gateway is the point where you deposit your cryptocurrency, for example, Bitcoin, and get on the side of the X UIA, user issued asset. So gateways is the point of control of the regulatory authorities of the governments, and the X protocol itself is responsible for UIAs to be safe, and for keys to be safe, such that they are not stored in the database, because you can check the X. Nothing is stored in the database. This is blockchain generated password, and we got our own know-how two-factor authorization on the blockchain. And if you lose your password, you lose your money, because we have no access to it. We cannot resort it. But the point of failure is gateway, which is responsible for transferring of crypto value, of fiat value, to user issued assets on the decentralized exchange blockchain. So I guess that regulators can cooperate with taxes in this way, such that gateways will be controlled and regulated by regulatory authorities, and transactions will be guaranteed by DEX's interfaces, by DEX's protocols, and the blockchain.
Well, we know Bitcoin's decentralized, yet it forked, and we have Bitcoin Cash and a bajillion other versions. Do you see a potential for DEX to be forked when as a successful decentralized exchange? And do you encourage anybody to fork your exchange and create something similar or on top of it, utilizing it?
Sure. Next year we will publish it on the GitHub, and we will provide API, we will provide documentation, and we will build a community of developers uh, near our exchange. This is Stan Latimer, yes, the
Yeah, yeah.
EOS founder. So our exchange is based on the same technology, graphene. On this technology is also based BitShares, Steemit,
Yep.
Airplays, EOS, and the EOS is claimed by the society not to be a blockchain and not decentralized entity at all.
Yep.
But the technology itself is pretty good, and sure, we will encourage people to make forks of it, to build new services on the top of it, to build new gateways, etc.
Yeah,
It
because
must
I
be
would love
a
to build
community.
my own exchange on top of an exchange, because it would basically just be like a skin.
Yes.
It would just be like a UI skin on top of, the actual protocols.
Absolutely, this is true. It's one of the points of our development for the next year to provide cloud exchanges, white label exchanges for any entities, for countries, help with localization, etc. This will bring more people, more liquidity.
So I guess to wrap things up here, let's see, what's the roadmap for you for 2020?
Uh, Next year we are to launch all our mobile applications in official Google Play and App Store. We are to launch our own blockchain, which is not related to BitShares, but our own with our own witnesses. and also to spread more cryptocurrency ATMs to countries where it is not prohibited, then to tokenize loyalty system programs such that you can buy and sell points of those loyalty system on our exchange, and also to tokenize gift cards, codes, etc., and to work with providers, software providers, to sell their licenses, tokenized licenses on the blockchain. So you can easily, safely sell it via our messaging system, which will encrypt it on the blockchain. So there will be not be hacked. There will not be a stealing of your private key, etc. Those are the use cases which we gonna apply our system to, because DEX is not just a decentralized exchange itself, but rather it is the exchange itself is a core for the services which will be running on the top of it.
Mm. Yeah, I think I'm such a nerd. The part that really stood out to me was the tokenization of loyalty points. I've actually went to a conference and spoke to companies about this concept of tokenization of loyalty and rewards coins and providing liquidity for the points for their customers, and it's something that really interests them, but I don't think that these companies yet see the potential behind being able to buy and sell loyalty points when people are doing similar things with gift cards today. So I think the messaging app where you're able to send keys for, like you said, gaming keys or gift card keys through the private messaging app, that would provide a means of being able to
Sure.
provide liquidity for this for companies and really gamify their customers' experiences.
You're absolutely true. And what the next year trend will be is business development and real application of the technology. Because on the first wave of the hype of ICOs of blockchain projects, people were just doing something. They were just doing something. Let's do it, and then think about our unique economics. You think of our sales, etc. Now this will not work, and the next year will be the year of inter cooperation and interconnection of different blockchain and crypto projects with each other, because blockchain ideology itself is not about competition but rather about cooperation. You got
Yep.
chains of many projects and getting one big entity. So we will specialize in this matter, and it will require lots of communication, lots of discussions, and lots of business development. If on the first wave of blockchain hype, the main guy in the company was software developer. Now, next year, it will be business developer, because there are lots of software developers, lots of good but absolutely useless projects which are not used. They're made just for
Facts.
fun, just to show the technology. Yes, it works, it's good, but try to make a use case which is used by many people. Try to make mass adoption of your product, then you will win. And blockchain also costs nothing if there are no many participants, if there are no many entities, businesses which do participate in your blockchain and which agree with the rules which are governed by in your blockchain. So we are developing a B2B to C ecosystem, because it's very hard and very expensive to gain a single customer to the ecosystem, but rather it is more convenient to work with businesses which have customers, and we do integrate them with each other, those businesses, and then they bring customers to the ecosystem. This will be much more beneficial, because if we talk about reward and loyalty points and programs, we see that big companies are trying to make exchange of these loyalty points in their systems. For example, Russian bank Sberbank is trying to make exchange of Sberbank loyalty points for avia company Siberia loyalty coins. But this is actually the matter of the blockchain and big system which will make it for them. And their task is to provide reliable gateways for their loyalty points, but not to try to make any loyalty program integration.
Yeah, well, you
This
said
is
it
our point
best.
for the next year.
This ecosystem is unlike the fiat environment where it's not as symbiotic, or it's not parasitic. It's incentivized to be symbiotic and work with each other rather than against each other.
Absolutely.
Is there anything that you wanted to touch on before we go?
No, actually, we covered lots of interesting things. I will also provide interesting things and presentations and our software to your email. And Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. It will come very soon. And I wish to all your subscribers, to all the communities, to have a reliable Plan D for the next year. Plan D, decentralized DX.
All right, guys, you got your plan B. Go ahead and get yourself that plan
Yeah.
D. Check out the exchange. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And Vlad, much appreciated. As always, everybody, have a day.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day. See you. Bye.
Bye.